The weekend and game week 4 edges ever closer, so let's talk about some players we can bring in, who we should be holding and who we should consider selling. If you like the video, please hit the like button, and if you aren't already, please hit subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So let's start with the strikers then, and first up I've got Jean-Philippe Mateta as a bring-in. I think it's quite understandable really. He's got a really good fixture at home to Sunderland to kick things off this week, and then straight after he has an away game at West Ham, who as we know have had a difficult start, although did recover in their last game. Mateta himself got off the mark with a penalty in the Villa game last time out, and I think he can go on leaps and bounds from here, and you have to fancy him to score at home to Sunderland. He may become a slightly maybe not as good pick because of the Sarr injury and also with Eze leaving as well. But the other way to look at it is things should fall to him a lot more. The chances will fall on his shoulders and he has to take the ball by the horns and get these goals for Palace now. That's the way I'm thinking, and I've got him in my team. I think you should be bringing him into yours as well. My other striker that I think you should be considering is Viktor Gyökeres. I think it's a nice early time to jump on him because yes, he has Nottingham Forest at home next, which is a really nice fixture, and he got his 2 goals, his first 2 league goals in the last home game for Arsenal, and I think he can do it again in this game with Forest having the new manager in Ange Postecoglou now in place. Historically, Ange a bit more attacking and doesn't focus on the defensive side of the game too much, and that should hopefully help a player like Viktor Gyökeres in this fixture. Like I said, the City fixture after, Newcastle fixture after that isn't ideal, but I still fancy him to potentially nab a goal in one of those games, and then you've got a really nice fixture run after that with West Ham and Fulham and so on and so on. So it's a good time to potentially jump on him right now if you already have the likes of a Mateta. First midfielder, and we seem to be in this position every week, but Antoine Semenyo. He didn't return last game against Spurs, but Bournemouth did win the game away from home, and he did have a very good chance yet again. The chances keep falling his way. If he could just take that few more chances, he would be an incredible asset, but he already is an incredible asset in my opinion. So that's why I keep bringing him up in these midfield bisections. He is the one that you should be looking to bring in if you have nobody else. They've got a solid run of fixtures. Bournemouth upcoming, not the best, but certainly not the worst. The other player I think we should be looking at is somebody like Cody Gakpo. Certainly on a values front, I don't think Wirtz is a player we want to be bringing in. Salah, obviously, most of us will have, or we really have to shuffle around our teams to get in a player that's that expensive. But Gakpo, I think his minutes at the moment are pretty secure. Isak's going to have to build up to full fitness, and even when he is building up fitness, maybe coming in off the bench, I think Ekitike will be the one to be sacrificed. There is still potential we'll see Ekitike on the left and maybe taking minutes off Gakpo in the future, but for now I think Gakpo's minutes are pretty solid. One thing in research for this video, which I didn't quite realise, is his expected goals per 90 has been pretty low considering he's had, and his assists on top of that, considering he's had the 2 assists and the goal on the opening day as well. But I think he's just one of those XG overperformers, and with a fixture now against Burnley and then at home to Everton and then also Palace after that, this is a little bit of a turn of fixtures for Liverpool, and games they would certainly be looking at winning, and hopefully Gakpo can get a few goals. On defence now, Senesi is my choice from Bournemouth. There's been a lot of hype about him in the build-up because he is a player who's hit DEFCON every game this season so far. So he's almost showing up a bit like a Tarkowski, where he's almost a banker for DEFCON every game. And he's almost taken that Dean Huijsen role from Bournemouth as that commanding centre-back. He always was a good centre-back anyway, but I don't think his DEFCON was predicted to be this good. But he's obviously taken the lead in that Bournemouth defence, and he suddenly looks like a fantastic option at 4.6 million, a really, really good option. And like I said, the Bournemouth fixtures are reasonably solid. They won't be getting clean sheets in a few of them. Yeah, that's fair to say. This is Bournemouth. This isn't one of the top teams. But with him hitting DEFCON, and then if you can throw in those clean sheets as well, he's going to be a fantastic option going forward. My other pick is Daniel Munoz. I've spoke about him in previous weeks as a chance to jump on him early before other people jump on him. Now's the time that people are probably going to be jumping on him, and it's still, the ship hasn't sailed. You can still get him, and he's the sort of player that it's unlikely I will have for this game week, and I'm really jealous because of Sunderland at home and his attacking threat from that right wing back position. I'm scared of the damage he can do. And you also fancy the clean sheet on top of that with Sunderland. That Crystal Palace defence has looked really solid at the start of this season. So for me, somebody like Munoz is a no-brainer. So let's move on to the next section, which is the holds. Okay, to start with, and in attack we have Ollie Watkins. Now this was a difficult one for me as a Watkins owner and a Morgan Rogers owner. I will be looking to get rid of one of those. I don't like this Aston Villa double up, particularly the way they're playing at the moment. But if you have Ollie Watkins, and with a fixture, Everton away isn't the worst. They have looked pretty good this season, Everton, but this could be the game he gets off the mark, who knows. But then afterwards, you're away at Sunderland, it's a newly promoted team, Fulham at home, and then Burnley at home. That's a really good run of fixtures that I can't bring myself to sell Ollie Watkins with those fixtures coming up. It's a really difficult one, to be honest, but for me, I will more than likely be getting rid of one of those players, and it will probably be Morgan Rogers, and maybe keep Ollie Watkins for now. And I want to test him over those fixtures. I feel like Aston Villa should be too good a team for this run of form to continue, and they will turn it round. So that's my first hold. A bit dubious, but and a very frustrating player so far, but we'll see how it goes. Chris Wood up next as my hold, and it's difficult. It was a frustrating game, and now they've had the manager switch. When I talk about frustrating games, I mean the West Ham losing 3-0 at home. I think there's people who captain Chris Wood and probably have lost their patience with him just over one game, and they've decided to transfer him out. Arsenal away is tough, and if you can bench him this week, maybe that's probably the better bet. But straight after that, you've got two newly promoted sides in Burnley away and Sunderland at home, and that's a sort of game where Chris Wood would surely thrive. And like I mentioned before, the new manager, Ange Postecoglou, coming in, a very attacking manager, a lot more attack-minded than Nuno, who normally sets his team up very well defensively. So Chris Wood could thrive under that. You don't know. So for now, I would say, certainly if you can bench him through Arsenal, he's a definite hold. Onto the midfield, and Florian Wirtz is my next hold. Now, I believe I had him as a sell last week, which probably turned out to be true in the end. But if you're still sat there with Florian Wirtz, I don't feel like now is the time to get rid of him. They've had a pretty difficult start, Liverpool. Bournemouth at home is obviously his debut in the Premier League. And then two very difficult fixtures against Newcastle and Arsenal after that. But now, Burnley away, like I said, and Everton at home, like I said. These are the sort of games where Liverpool look to control the ball a heck of a lot more. And this is what they brought Florian Wirtz in for, is for that creativity. So I think this is certainly a game I would like to, if I had him, I would really like to be holding him and see what he can do against a team like Burnley. this could be that sort of lift-off moment for him. And then Reinders, Tierney Reinders is my next pick as a hold. There's a lot of people probably just jumped on him. He had so much hype, probably the most hype player in game week 1. And then people are starting very quick to jump off him after 2 poor results for not just him, but for Manchester City. That's not going to continue. Man City are probably too good a team to continue that sort of form. So at 5.7 million, I don't know what people are expecting when they bring in a player like him. I think people thought, even from that sort of box to box midfield position, they were expecting him to get loads and loads of points, which was never going to happen. He was never that sort of player. He chips in with decent returns over a season. As you look at his stats at AC Milan, I think he got 10 league goals last season. So he will chip in, but you've got to be patient with him. He's not going to be one of these midfielders that is going to be hauling for you every week, and he's going to be, an FPL code breaker. So patience with him. His time will come again. And after the next 2 fixtures, as you see here, Manchester United and Arsenal, the fixtures swing for Manchester City then. And you have Burnley, Brentford and Everton in the next 3. And then that's when if you're maybe a Haaland owner, you will want double Man City at the very least for those fixtures. And then in defence, we've got Mickey van de Ven of Tottenham Hotspur. I put him on here simply because of the amount of transfers out. He's one of the highest transferred out defenders. He's on that first page on the FPL website, which really did take me by surprise. I think it's probably after that poor game against Bournemouth, the 1-0 loss at home. Tottenham were going so well, and then that come a little bit out of the blue. But you look at that fixture run, and when we talk about good fixture runs, I think Tottenham have the best one out of any Premier League team coming up. So we have West Ham away, Brighton away, Fulham Wolves at home, Leeds away, and Villa at home. There's a lot of green fixtures, and there's a lot of potential for clean sheets there. And they've shown they can do it in the first 2 games. They can get these clean sheets. So I wouldn't be transferring Mickey van de Ven out, and especially at a price that you probably bought him at. He's just creeped up, but you probably bought him at 4.5 million. There's going to be no rush to be getting rid of him at all. And then somebody who I had as a sell last week as well because of the injury. I thought it was going to be a lot worse than it was. But Rayan Aït-Nouri was fit for the loss in the last game at Brighton. And like I said with Reinders, with that fixture swing coming up, I think he's a player we should be looking to keep if you already have him. I don't think he would be my £6 million player of choice. There's a lot better. But if you're already there stuck with him, that fixture swing is coming. He's actually doing surprisingly well for DEFCON points. Not too bad. I think he's only hit it once, but he's in and around that DEFCON mark, apart from the 1 game against Spurs, I think. And then probably not as attacking as we all thought he was going to be, but still a very good option to keep nonetheless. Okay, players to sell then, and Jorgen Strand Larsen is my striker of choice in this section. He has got that Achilles injury, and it's going to be... We haven't got any confirmed reports he's going to be out for the next game against Newcastle, but it's looking more than likely. And even if he does play, it could be off the bench. It's certainly going to be reduced minutes, even if he was miraculously fit for the next game or the next couple of games. So he's somebody that probably I wouldn't want to bother with the headache. And he's somebody then I would just look to upgrade to somebody like a Mateta if you haven't got him. Or in the long term, if you wanted to look long term, João Pedro or Gyökeres if you have that bit more money in the bank. But yeah, with that injury and his price starting to creep down now to 6.4, he's a certain sell for me. And then the other one is Mark Guéhi. Obviously, he's returned from his loan spell. Chelsea have recalled him from Sunderland, so his minutes will pretty much be non-existent now. He wasn't even playing for Sunderland, but he was getting minutes off the bench. But going forward, maybe with the Chelsea striker crisis, he might find himself getting a few more minutes in the next game, a couple of games, a lot more than he may think. But again, that would be non-existent or a few minutes off the bench anyway. So don't expect him to play. He's down to 4.4. That'll probably decrease as he was quite highly owned for the start of the season as people start to jump off him. For some people, it might not be that easy because if they have no money in the bank, you haven't really got anywhere to go other than Mark Huey, and you're going to have to look at a couple of transfers to get rid of him. But certainly you need to be looking to get rid of him right now. And then the two midfielders, which I'm going to bunch together here, both Manchester City midfielders, have picked up injuries. So we got firstly Omar Marmoush, who's picked up an injury, I believe it's a knee injury on international duty with Egypt. He was starting to look like a good option again, especially with the Turkey injury, which we will come to. He got an assist knee in the last game also, and yeah, he was just sort of like, potentially could be an option for us again. I started with him in my team and quickly jumped off him after he was benched in that first game, but not so much anymore. I think we do wait for the news on him, but it could be a few weeks. Who knows? But it's the only thing it is confirmed is that he will be missing the Manchester United game. And Turkey also injured, but he's going to be out for something like a couple of months. So again, he's not highly owned, but certainly somebody we have to be looking to get rid of. And I don't have a lot of sells for the midfield, so that's why I went with these two injured players. Made my job a lot easier. In defence, we have another injury, and Saliba, who's going to be out for 3 to 4 weeks actually, after the injury picked up against Liverpool in Gameweek 3. There's plenty of Arsenal defenders that you could go and jump onto, but probably a bit early to jump back onto an Arsenal defender, although they're always capable of keeping clean sheets. But yeah, Saliba is a definite no-go, and we need to get rid of him as soon as possible. And then finally, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. He's somebody I will be looking to get rid of this week. He was benched as the West Ham defence and Graham Potter switched to a back four against Nottingham Forest, and Kyle Walker-Peters come in for his place. And after picking up their first win, and it was a rout against Nottingham Forest at 3-0, I'm not sure I can see Graham Potter wanted to change too much in that home game against Tottenham. So Wan-Bissaka may have to settle for another place on the bench. He's already decreased in price, and the move I would be looking to make is something like Wan-Bissaka straight to Senesi, as Wan-Bissaka is just not that headache in need anymore. He was already on my radar because of the poor performances from West Ham, but now with this added sort of benching headache, I don't want to be anywhere near that. So Wan-Bissaka is a go for me. So I hope you picked up a bit of transfer advice from that video. If it did help you at all, please hit the like button. Like I mentioned before, it really helps the channel. Subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next video, which will be my team selection, and will probably be more than likely true transfers coming in that team, so make sure you don't miss it. I'll see you in that video.